You think your last name is just a label, something you sign on a form and forget. It isn't. If your surname appears on the list I'm about to show you, then you are not simply Italian by heritage. You are connected to a specific bloodline, a specific city on a hill or a coast, a specific layer of the most conquered and reconquered peninsula in Europe. Because Italy is not one people. It is Romans and Etruscans, Greeks and Lombards, Normans and Arabs and Byzantines, all of them layered one on top of the other across 3,000 years, and every one of them left names behind. 11 surnames, 11 bloodlines, and recent DNA breakthroughs have begun to do what the old parish registers never could, peeling back those layers and tracing these names toward the ancient peoples who first carried them onto Italian soil. Stay until the final surnames, because several of them reach back before Rome itself, to peoples the Romans conquered and never fully erased. Your name survived every empire that rose and fell on this peninsula. The question is which of them first spoke it. Let's begin with a name that is not a name at all, but a column of stone. We start in Rome, with one of the oldest noble names in the entire city, Colonna. In Italian, it means simply the column, the pillar, and that is exactly what the family took as its emblem, a single towering column that still appears on their arms today. The Colonna were one of the 2 or 3 greatest baronial houses of medieval Rome, so powerful that they waged open war in the streets of the city against their bitter rivals, and so influential that they gave the church a pope, Martin V, whose election finally ended the Great Schism that had split Christendom between rival popes. For centuries, the Colonna could make or break the papacy itself, holding fortresses across Rome and the countryside around it, a family that stood like their own emblem, an unbroken pillar through 1,000 years of Roman history. If your name is Colonna, you may carry the blood of one of the oldest noble houses of the Eternal City, and the next name is their ancient enemy, and it means the little bear. The second name is Orsini. It comes from the Italian orso, the bear, and it means the little bear, the bear cub, and few names in Rome carried more weight. The Orsini were the great rivals of the Colonna, one of the most ancient and powerful families in the whole history of the city, and where the Colonna gave the church one pope, the Orsini gave it several, along with more cardinals than almost any family in Rome. Their feud with the Colonna ran so deep and so long that it shaped the politics of Rome for generations, 2 great houses locked in a struggle for control of the papacy and the city. The bear became a name to be feared across central Italy, its castles guarding the roads and the river valleys, its lords marrying into every royal house they could reach. If your name is Orsini, you carry the name of the little bear and the blood of one of Rome's mightiest dynasties. And the third name built a city into the capital of an age. The third name is Medici, and here is the surprise, hidden in one of the most famous names in all of history. The word is thought to mean the doctors, or the physicians, and the family's emblem, a cluster of round red balls, may echo that origin, taken by some to represent pills or medicinal cups. But the Medici became something no physician ever dreamed of. From a family of bankers in Florence, they rose to rule the city, then to become Grand Dukes of Tuscany, and they poured their staggering wealth into the artists and thinkers who created the Renaissance itself, patrons of Michelangelo, of Botticelli, of Leonardo. They gave the church 4 popes and gave France 2 queens. A name that may have begun with humble healers came to sit at the very center of the rebirth of Western art. If your name is Medici, you may carry the name of the family that bankrolled the Renaissance. And the 4th name ruled a city of poets, and may reach back to the Romans themselves. The 4th name is Este, often written Deste. It is a place name, taken from the town of Este near Padua in the Veneto, and the family that carried it became one of the longest ruling dynasties in all of Europe, lords of Ferrara and then dukes of Modena, who held power for an astonishing 5 centuries and more. Their court at Ferrara was one of the most brilliant in Renaissance Europe, a place of poets and painters, where the great epic poets Ariosto and Tasso wrote under their patronage. The family married into the royal houses of Europe so successfully that their blood flows down into later dynasties, and some traditions trace the house back through the mists toward Roman or Lombard origins. If your name is Este, you may carry the name of one of the oldest ruling houses of Europe, and the fifth name means force, and belonged to a soldier who seized a dukedom. Before I go on, here is something almost no one watching realizes about their own name. If you've ever looked at your surname and wondered which of Italy's ancient peoples your bloodline truly reaches back to, I've put the whole story together in a guide called Where Do You Really Come From? The link is in the description below. But stay right here, because what comes next is the part most people completely miss. The names ahead include the admirals who ruled the sea, a people who came down over the Alps with fire and sword, and a name that carries the memory of ancient Greece on Italian soil. The fifth name is Sforza, and the meaning is as blunt as the family was ruthless. It comes from the Italian sforzare, to force, to exert strength, and it began not as a name, but as a nickname earned by a warrior. The founder was a peasant-born soldier of fortune, a condottiere, a mercenary captain so powerful in battle that men called him Sforza, the one who forces, the strong one. His son Francesco took that borrowed name and did the unthinkable, marrying into the ruling house of Milan and then seizing the dukedom for himself, founding a dynasty that ruled one of the richest states in Italy. It was a Sforza duke who employed Leonardo da Vinci for nearly 2 decades. A nickname won by a mercenary's arm became the name of the lords of Milan. If your name is Sforza, you carry a name forged in strength and ambition, and the sixth name commanded the sea. The sixth name is Doria. It comes from the region of Genoa, that great maritime republic clinging to the northwestern coast, and the Doria were among the most powerful families the city ever produced, famed above all as admirals. The sea was their kingdom. The greatest of them, Andrea Doria, was one of the most celebrated admirals of the entire 16th century. A naval commander so formidable that he effectively ruled Genoa and shaped the balance of power in the Mediterranean, fighting the Ottoman fleets and the corsairs of the Barbary coast. The family raised palaces along the Genoese shore and sent their galleys across every sea they could reach. If your name is Doria, you carry the name of the admirals who ruled the waves from Genoa, and the seventh name gave the church a dynasty of popes and dukes. The seventh name is Farnese. It is a place name from central Italy, and the family that bore it climbed from feudal lords to the very summit of Renaissance power. Their rise came when Alessandro Farnese was elected pope, taking the name Paul III, and used his position to raise his family to greatness, carving out the Duchy of Parma and Piacenza for his own descendants. They built one of the most magnificent palaces in Rome, the Palazzo Farnese, and commissioned art and architecture from the greatest masters of the age. The family blood eventually flowed into the royal house of Spain and beyond. If your name is Farnese, you carry the name of a house that reached from feudal obscurity to popes and dukes. And the eighth name came down over the Alps with fire and iron. The eighth name is Lombardi, or Lombardo, and this is where we leave the noble houses and reach something older and deeper. The name means the Lombard, and the Lombards were a Germanic people who swept down over the Alps into Italy in the 6th century after the fall of Rome and conquered much of the peninsula, ruling a kingdom so powerful that an entire region of Italy still bears their name today, Lombardy. Their name is said to come from the long beards their warriors wore. When you meet someone named Lombardi, their name is a memory of that Germanic conquest, of the northern warriors who poured into a broken Roman world and made it their own. Often the name marked a family who had come from that northern region into the south, carrying the Lombard name with them. If your name is Lombardi, you may carry the memory of the Germanic conquerors who gave a region of Italy its name, and the ninth name reaches back to a world even older, to the Greeks. The ninth name is Greco, and the meaning is exactly what it sounds like, the Greek. But do not mistake this for a name of foreigners, because in the south of Italy, Greek is not foreign at all. For centuries before Rome rose, the coasts of southern Italy and Sicily were covered in Greek colonies, so many and so rich that the Romans called the whole region Magna Graecia, Greater Greece. Cities like Naples, Taranto, and Syracuse were Greek cities, with Greek temples that still stand today, some better preserved than any in Greece itself. And in Calabria and Sicily, communities spoke a form of Greek for 2,000 years, some of them into modern times. The name Greco is a living fingerprint of that ancient Greek world pressed into Italian soil. If your name is Greco, you may carry the blood of Magna Graecia, of the Greeks who colonized the south before Rome was an empire. And the 10th name is the proudest and simplest of them all. The 10th name is Romano, and its meaning could not be plainer: the Roman, the one from Rome. It is one of the most common surnames in all of Italy, and it carries the weight of the greatest name in Western history. For some families, it marked an ancestor who came from the city of Rome, or from the surrounding region. But in the south, in Calabria and Sicily, the name carries a second, stranger echo, for the Byzantine Greeks who ruled the south for centuries called themselves Romaioi, Romans, the heirs of the Eastern Roman Empire, and their memory too lingers in names like Romano and Romeo. So the name may reach back to the city of the Caesars, or to the long twilight of the Roman Empire in the Byzantine south. If your name is Romano, you carry the single most storied name the Western world has ever produced. And now the 11th and final name, a name that reaches back before Rome, before the Greeks, into the deepest mystery of Italy. The 11th name is Toscano, and the whole world of Tuscan names that echo it. The name means the Tuscan, the one from Tuscany, and Tuscany is no ordinary region, because before Rome rose to swallow the world, this land belonged to the Etruscans. The Etruscans were the great lost civilization of ancient Italy, a people whose language we still cannot fully read, whose tombs are filled with painted banquets and dancing figures, who taught the early Romans their letters, their engineering, their very gods, and who were then absorbed and overwritten by Rome so completely that they nearly vanished from memory. Yet their blood did not vanish. Genetic studies of the people of Tuscany have found deep and ancient roots reaching back into that pre-Roman world. The very name Tuscany comes from the Romans' word for the Etruscans. If your name is Toscano, you may carry, somewhere in your deepest ancestry, a fingerprint of the Etruscans themselves. And that is the thread that runs through every name on this list. 11 surnames, 11 bloodlines, 11 layers of the most fought-over land in Europe, reaching back through popes and admirals and mercenary dukes, through Germanic conquerors and Greek colonists, through the eternal city and the lost world of the Etruscans. And here is what the DNA breakthroughs really revealed. Your name was never just a label. It is a layer of history. It is a column in Rome, a galley out of Genoa, a Greek temple on a southern shore, an Etruscan tomb beneath a Tuscan hill. It is the memory of every people who ever conquered this peninsula and was in turn absorbed by it, carried down through the centuries by families who kept the name alive through every empire that rose and fell. Some of these names began in the marble halls of Rome. Some began with a bear, a column, a mercenary's strength, or a people so old the Romans themselves looked up to them. But every single one of them survived. So tell me, drop your surname in the comments, and tell me which ancient people you think your bloodline reaches back to. And if you know the story your family carried down through the generations, say it, because those stories deserve to be heard. If you made it to the end, subscribe. Every week we go deeper into the names people carry without ever knowing what they truly mean.